Recording number 4. Wow. But what I want to start off with today, you guys, is like I literally saw a quote like right before I started the video today, and I was just like, yes, 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 yes. This is how we should be looking at life right now. And it's so simple, but it's if you can't go outside, go inside. And I think what I took from it, or how I would take that right now, is okay, we can go outside and do all the normal things. And you're already inside, technically, in a house. But how can you go more inside? Yeah. It's here. It's here. If you can't go outside and do the things that you're supposed to be doing, take this time to be productive and go inside. Okay? Which is what we're doing here. You know, that's what we're doing here. If you showed up, you're going inside. Okay? If you showed up here, you are inside doing work. And that to me means that we're not wasting the time. You know, I see a lot of people wasting this time. Am I right? Like, anybody else? Like, what are you people doing out there? Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God, you know, people are like taking pictures of like their stacks of alcohol, and I'm just like, okay, like, where is that getting you? What is that doing with your time? And 3 months from now, you know, like, I know you think it might be all fun and games, but you're setting yourself up for failure. And then you're feeding that failure, you know? And I just don't think, and I'm not saying like drinking is wrong, you guys, like, or I don't even care if you guys have a few drinks or anything like that, but if drinking is the only thing that you have to look forward to during this time, we have an issue. Okay? If that's the only thing that you have to look forward to is it's 5 o'clock somewhere, we have an issue. Okay? There's so many other things inside that you could be working on other than numbing yourself. Okay? Because it's not working. Numbing ourselves does not work. It does not provide anything for us. That pain is still going to be there tomorrow. And it's actually probably going to be worse tomorrow because you just suppressed it, and you probably got a headache now, and you're dehydrated, and you know, and you guys, I'm only saying that because this is the first time ever that Mike and I have ever actually been in a situation that we aren't drinking. This is the first time I have ever actually tackled a hard thing going on in our life and not involve alcohol in it. It's just interesting how different Mike and I are, even during this time, than when we were being in the hotel after the hurricane. Like, because we were drinking then, and we were just sitting in a freaking hotel, and we didn't know what else to do. And it's like, well, you want to make a drink? Yeah, sure. You know, we weren't working out, and somehow we actually still survived that time. But I look back at it and go, wow, like, imagine all the other things that we really could have done with that money, with that time, with that effort, with that, you know, everything. It's like, and so, but it's kind of cool too to see us grow. You know, we're not doing that same thing here. It's like, oh, wow, 2.5 years later, we are handling this situation way different than we were just 2 years ago, kind of in a similar situation. And so that's pretty cool to kind of see, like, wow, we've made some progress, you know? And then just to kind of be able to compare the situations as well, to be like, wow, imagine how unprepared we were then and how prepared we are now. Like, I ordered groceries online last night, so they should be delivered today, but I went ahead and ordered stuff for Easter because I was like, next Sunday is Easter. I want to go ahead and I just don't want to have to go out in the grocery store next weekend, you know? So I'm planning ahead. I'm thinking ahead. And guys, the only reason I think that's happening is because I'm clear-minded. You know what I mean? Like, I'm actually able to be like, okay, let's not numb from right now. How can we prepare for right now? How can I actually, instead of run from my feelings or the situation, how can I hit it head on, take it on, do something different, and really have different outcomes than I've had before? And so, yeah, I definitely think it's interesting not being hungover. I mean, I don't know. I like, honestly, you guys, we've been used to being hungover when we have nothing to do. especially on the weekends or, you know, things like that. It's like just drinking was kind of normal. And not excessive drinking, but enough to where I wouldn't have woke up at 5:30 the next morning, you know, probably would have pressed snooze quite a bit, you know, and so it's just kind of interesting, removing that from our lives and having a situation like this come up and it not want to be our first thing that we want to grab to. We've actually, I think, been really grabbing onto our workouts, grabbing onto our health, our mental health. I've been grabbing onto these, you know, meetings and really just pouring myself into them, which I think also creates that little bit of accountability. Is like, now that you said that you aren't drinking, Jen, you kind of gotta keep not drinking. You know, that in itself holds me a little accountable too. And so sometimes when you put it out there, you kind of got to stick to it, right? Because you're like, well, shit, I already said it. All these people are looking at me now. I'm not going to like wake up tomorrow morning and be like, oh, by the way, last night I drank, you know? What is that proving? So it's like, it kind of holds me accountable too, to stay where I'm at and to stay on point. Yeah, it's taken a lot more work. It's taken a lot more mental strength. It's taken a lot more physical strength, but I'm proud of myself rather than shaming myself. Do you guys see where that comes in? So it's like, yeah, it's easier to give in. It's easier to say, oh, well, the situation is just too hard, you know? And most people be like, you're right, you're right. And, you know, and it is hard, but typically what happens is we place shame and guilt on ourselves so much during this time when we continue to slip and slip and slip and slip, right? So you slip up and then you're like, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. And then we slip up again and, oh, how dare you do that, Jen? You know better than that, you know? And then we sit and beat ourselves up. When in reality, we could just put in the work to just avoid those things, to say, okay, I know this is hard to not drink. I know that you maybe want to, but you're going to feel so much more proud of yourself when you don't, rather than feeling guilty that I did. The work is going to be hard either way, right? Why not do the work to make myself proud rather than feel guilty? Does that make sense, you guys? So when something comes up like that, just say, okay, am I going to feel proud after I do this, or am I going to feel guilty after I do this? Am I going to feel proud about pressing snooze and not working out, or am I going to feel guilty? I'm probably going to feel guilty about snoozing, right? So get your ass up and press play so you can feel proud. That's how I feel about it. And I think once I just like, there was a point in my life where I just flipped that switch and I'd just rather feel proud of myself than guilty. Like, just hands down, that's just my, like, bottom line. I'd just rather be proud of myself. And so I'm just willing to do the work to be proud of myself than be lazy and, oh, I'm too tired. Like, what's the point of being tired? Because then you're going to feel shameful, right? Because then you feel shame that you're too tired and that you sat on the couch all day and then you ate a bag of chips and then, you know what I mean? Like, and then it's just like this spiral of like shame, when in reality you could have stopped right before any of that happened and pressed play and felt proud of yourself. You know, it's gonna be hard either way, because it's hard to feel shame, right? Like, that doesn't feel good on my body to feel shameful or to feel guilty, but it feels really good, but yet hard to press play and feel proud. Okay, it's equal amounts of hard. Choose your hard. I will choose proud over guilt every day. Okay. And I want that same for you guys too. I want you to choose proud. Okay. So if you can't go outside, go inside. Okay. And go for proud. Make yourself proud during this time. I was actually watching, so like Dave Chappelle has like it's not a new special on Netflix, but it's like he was getting like the Mark Twain Award. And so it's like the presentation of him getting the award, but it's like behind the scenes. It's on Netflix, but it's like a little documentary of him getting the award. And at the end, he is like talking, and I just thought it was really cool. If you guys get a chance to watch it, I don't know if you guys are Dave Chappelle fans or not. Still kind of a good little feel good kind of documentary, because like everybody's like talking about, you know, I mean, everybody's like praising him, and so you're like, oh, look at it go, you know. I just love like when anybody is like getting like positivity brought their way. It makes me cry. I cry more on happy than I cry on sad. I will cry because somebody is happy way more than I will cry because like of sadness. It's weird. I don't know. And so if you guys have seen it, but there was like a part where he was talking. Oh shoot, what was it? Oh my god, I had it in my head. I can't go outside. Oh shoot, I just lost it. What a quote. I knew I should have even wrote it down last night when he said it. Oh, I'm gonna have to, if it pops in my head. Dang it, now I can't remember what he said. I'm gonna have to look it up. Maybe tell you guys tomorrow. The suspense. Now I just left you in suspense. I can't remember what he said. But he said this quote and I was like, oh my God, yes. And then I had it just now. And then I just lost it again. And now I feel like my brain won't find it. All right, we'll move on. We'll move on, and if I think of it, I'll write it down and tell you guys. Okay, so let me see if we have anybody new on our call today. Hi, Becky. Hi, Tennille. Hi, Carly. Hi, Amanda. Hey, Alicia. Bonnie and Marissa and Alicia and Rochelle and Stephanie. And I got Brittany and Kristen and Karen. Hi, ladies. I always kind of want to like see everybody's face. Sometimes people jump on. I actually did turn the notification on to like at least notify me when somebody jumped on. But you guys, if you ever have like a friend, remember we were talking about like reaching out and like asking friends to jump on. If you ever do have a friend that's going to jump on, just shoot me like a little message so I can make sure I address them. So we give like a little welcome to them or something, so they're not just like sitting at the end all wondering what this is. What's that? What is that?
A duck.
Oh, a duck? I wouldn't have guessed that. Okay, can you go take the duck back in there, and we'll be done in just a little bit, okay? Sure. All right, so I do have a video for us today to listen to. It's somebody new. It is Jim Rohn. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him before, but he is, to me, he's like the original motivator. He's like the person that has like taught Tony Robbins. He's the person who, like, a lot of these motivational speakers that we listen to, they learned from him. He's like the original motivational speaker, the original personal development speaker, I guess. I don't know, but it just, he's definitely somebody that all the people that we would listen to, they look up to him. I believe he is passed away at this point, so all of his videos are just older, but he still has a lot of great points, and I love to just listen to his voice. Like, he just has like a very calming voice that I think you guys will appreciate. What? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Derek just brought me a Reese's cup.
Yeah, we only have 2 more.
We only have 2 more. What the heck, man? I think we just got those yesterday. Shh, just tell. I'm just kidding. We got them last week. No. But this video, yeah. No. It's on song. It's a video, and you need to go. Go.
Okay.
Bye. Love you. So this video is about 15-16 minutes. So we'll kind of do what we've been doing. Listen to it. Make sure you have some paper or pencil. Write down some stuff that you maybe find helpful, or something that just kind of made you go like, ooh, I like that. And then we'll discuss it at the end, and we'll kind of talk and maybe see if we can find something to pull out of this and apply to what we're going through right now. How's that sound? Cool. All right, ladies, let's see what we got.
But here's what else I hope you'll find here today, and that is inspiration. And who knows the mystery of inspiration? Why some people are inspired and some are not? You were inspired to get here, some were not. Who knows the mystery of that? I don't know. How come you made it? The rest of them didn't make it. We don't know what that mystery is. Some people turned it down. Some people said it costs too much. Some people said it's going to take too much time. Some people are too busy. right? A lot of different excuses why some are inspired to take advantage of something that comes to town, others pass it up. We don't know the mystery to that. Here's what I call it, mysteries of the mind. And I just leave it at that. Some things I don't try to figure out. I take the simple approach now, right? Some people do and some people don't. I mean, that's about as profound as my philosophy is. Some buy and some don't buy. Some go for it and some don't. Some change and some don't. And if you've been around for a while, you can usually work out the numbers, right? Out of 10, 3 do, 7 don't. Whatever business you're involved in, pretty soon you got this ratio going. The ones that do, the ones that don't. You say, well, why don't the ones that don't, how come they don't? We don't know. I just leave it as a mystery. I used to try to understand all that. I just take the simple approach now. The guy says, this happens to me, this happens to me, this goes wrong for me, and all this stuff goes wrong for me. How come all this stuff happens to me? I say, I don't know, it beats me. The best I've been able to figure out is those kind of things always happen to people like you. I mean, right? That's the best I got. I don't know. I'm an amateur on this stuff. What do I know? So just take the simple approach, right? That's how it is. Who knows? Interesting story says the day the Christian church was started. Now, I'm an amateur on the Bible, but best account I can remember, the day the Christian church was started, a magnificent sermon was preached. Great presentation. And if you're a student at all of good communication, it was one of the classic presentations of all times, the sermon, first day Christian church was started. And it said this sermon, this presentation was given to a multitude, meaning a lot of people. But it was interesting, as the account gives us the record, it says when the sermon was finished, there was a variety of reaction to the same sermon. Isn't that fascinating? I find it fascinating. It said some that heard this presentation were perplexed. And I read the presentation, it sounded pretty straightforward to me. I said, why would somebody be perplexed with a good, sincere, straightforward presentation? Best answer I've got. They are the perplexed. What other explanation is there? It doesn't matter who's preaching. It said some that heard this presentation mocked and laughed, made fun of the presentation. I thought, hey, this looks pretty sincere to me. If you give a sincere, honest presentation, why would somebody mock and laugh? Easy explanation. They are the mockers and the laughers. What else would you expect them to do? Right? I used to try to straighten all that out. Say, well, they shouldn't do that. I don't do that anymore. I've got peace of mind now. I can sleep like a baby, not try to straighten all this stuff out. I used to be so naive. I used to say, well, liars shouldn't lie. See, how naive can you be? Of course, they're supposed to lie. That's why we call them liars. They lie. So I don't straighten this stuff out anymore. Anyway, it said some that heard this magnificent presentation didn't know what was going on. And they're usually easy to spot. They're usually saying, what's going on, right? I mean, they don't know what's going on. But interesting, right? A variety of reaction to the same sincere, honest presentation. Now, it also says, in wrapping it up, some that heard the presentation believed. And I think that's who the speaker was looking for, the believers. Interesting. Now, it said the number of believers was about 3,000. So pretty good first day. 3,000. I've had some first days, but I never had 3,000. Over caution. Some people never will have much. They're too cautious. Now, you can also be too reckless, but you can also be too cautious. This is called the timid approach to life. And my caution was always the risk. Risk used to drive me right up the wall. I used to say, what if this happens? It's called the language of the poor. What if this happens? And on top of that, if this was to happen, look at the fix I'd be in. I better not try. I could always ace myself out. Then I'll tell you what changed my whole life when I finally discovered it's all risky. The minute you were born, it got risky. If you think trying is risky, wait till they hand you the bill for not trying. If you think investing is risky, wait till you get the tab for not investing. See, it's all risky. Getting married is risky. Having children is risky. Going into business is risky. Investing your money is risky. It's all risky. I'll tell you how risky life is. You're not going to get out alive. That's risky. The Englishman says, well, if that's the way it's going to work out, let's give it a go. Right. That's what it's for. Give it a go. Somebody says, yeah, but I'm looking for safety and security. Fine, then huddle in a corner. We'll cover you with a sheet, bring you 3 meals a day. And we'll protect you, feed you, look after you, care for you. We won't let anything happen to you. And you'll probably live to be 100. The guy said, well, yeah, I'd live to be 100. But what a way to live. Right. What a way to live, safe and secure. Don't ask for security. Ask for adventure. Better to live 30 years full of adventure than 100 years safe in the corner. And see, it's not important how long you live. What's important is how you live. Here's the next attitude disease. We're almost through with this motley list. In fact, we're almost through. Hang on. The next one is pessimism. Pessimism, the deadly disease of always looking on the bad side, the problem side, the difficult side, checking all the reasons why it can't be done. The poor pessimist leads an ugly life. He doesn't try to figure out what's right. He tries to figure out what's wrong. He doesn't look for virtue. He looks for faults. And when he finds them, he's delighted. How ugly. This is the poor guy who looks through the window, doesn't see the sunset. He sees the specks on the window. And this is the poor guy, right, who rushes up, takes such leave of his senses. This guy rushes up and he says, I've got 5 good reasons why it won't work. He's so dumb, he doesn't know. All he needs 1. He's got 5. To the pessimist, the glass is always half empty. To the optimist, the glass is half full. Why would the same measure affect people 2 different ways? Answer, it all depends on how you look at it. Our lives are mostly affected by the way we think things are, not the way they are. The way we think they are affects us most. There's a subject we don't have time to get into tonight called better thinking habits. One of the major things Shope taught me when I met him, he said, poor thinking habits keeps most people poor. Not poor working habits. Most people work hard, but they don't think hard. And Shope taught me that the mind is like a factory, a mental factory. And whatever you think about all day long pours ingredients into this mental factory. And that's what builds the economic, social, financial fabric of your life. He quoted me a Bible phrase that says, as you think, so you become. How awesome. When he talked about poor thinking habits, he had me. I used to start the day reading the morning newspaper. I mean, you can believe that or not. I'd get a cup of coffee and read the paper. I'd load up on wars and riots and murders and stabbings and killings and bank robberies and muggings and car wrecks and tragedies. I'd even read the back pages. I seem to like that stuff for some weird reason. I'd load up on all that, and then I'd start the day. You can imagine the kind of days I used to have. You walk around on your financial knees. They call you economic peewee. The guy says, I want to be a great leader. Wonderful. The first thing we do is follow him to his house. When we get there, we walk in and check his library, number 1. Somebody says, well, why check his library? The reason is because what a man reads pours massive ingredients into his mental factory, and the fabric of his life is built from those ingredients. You would not believe what some people have got in their house to read. You would not believe. One of the best dressed up words I know for a lot of it is trash. Can you imagine dumping a barrel of trash into this mental factory every day and coming out with a rich, dynamic, positive life? It can't be done. You might as well try making a cake with cement. The kids back in Danbury, Connecticut, high school, they're asking me questions one day. I'm talking to the kids. Kids got good questions these days. One of them said to me, Mr. Rohn, how do you build the good life? I said, it's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Here's how you build anything. Select the right ingredients, keep out the wrong ingredients, and it starts with thought. Everything starts with thought. So you must be wise and careful what you think about, because that starts everything. You got to be wise and careful. I asked the kids, what would happen if somebody dropped sugar in my coffee? They said, will you be okay? I said, what if somebody dropped strychnine in my coffee? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct. Lesson 1. Life is both sugar and strychnine. You gotta be careful. I said, what if my worst enemy drops in the sugar? They said, will you be okay? I said, what if my best friend, even by accident, drops in the strychnine? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct. Lesson 2, watch your coffee. You got to be careful. See, it doesn't matter who hands you the bad stuff. It doesn't matter where you get the bad stuff. It'll still do its damage on your bank account, wherever you get it. Mr. Schoaf gave me one of the greatest phrases when I first met him when he said, Jim, every day stand guard at the door of your mind. How important. Stand guard at the door of your mind. And you decide what goes into your mental factory. Don't let anybody just dump anything they want to in your mental factory, because you've got to live with the results. Okay, here's the last disease, and we're through with this list. In fact, we're almost through. Hang on. The last subject is very brief. The last disease, but this one is deadly. Engage in this one, indulge in it even slightly, and you might as well forget the future, because it's going to forget you. Complaining, crying, whining, griping. A Bible word called murmuring. See, that'll ace your future. Spend 5 minutes complaining, and you have wasted 5. And you may have begun what's known as economic cancer of the bone. Surely they will soon haul you off into a financial desert and there let you choke on the dust of your own regret. I hope I said that well, so you won't forget. It's a deadly disease. If you don't think it's bad, ask the children of Israel of Old Testament faith. Typical of us all, their story just happened to get in the book. Story says, children of Israel were slaves. God performed a series of dazzling miracles and got them out. And now they're heading for the promised land. Remember the story? Heading for the promised land. Tragedy of the story, they never got there. Reason. From day one, they started to complain. They griped about the water. They griped about the weather. They whined and cried and griped about the food. They griped about the leadership. They whined and cried because it was too far, too cold, too hot, too difficult, too miserable. I mean, they whined and cried for years. Finally, God said, I've had it, trip canceled. Or something like that. The story says they died in the desert, never got to the promised land. Which I think means 2 things. Indulge in this long enough, you get your future cancer. And I guess it also means even God himself can only take so much. Just be on the lookout of the things that can destroy all the good you start. The war is on. And this evening, tomorrow, mentally, personally, socially, economically, you got to make sure you're winning the war. And this is part of it.
Okay, that was like perfection for today. Anybody? Yeah. Hopefully you guys really like him. I hope you guys can hear him. I know sometimes he speaks kind of soft, but I have the speaker all the way up and as close to the tablet as I can get it. But I also thought that he was kind of good for like Sunday, like, you know, like maybe tomorrow for Monday we'll have like somebody kind of like ball busting us back in action. But I thought like Sunday, just like a peaceful voice, that calming voice would be really good. Little did I know how much he was going to reference, you know, the Bible and God and things like that that we can all pull into this Sunday afternoon, you know? So let's talk about it, okay? First of all, the first thing that he even talks about, you guys, the simple approach. We complicate so much, right? Like how many times do we overthink what we were just talking about the other day or the past couple of days, the what if? We could go, what if, 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 what if? You know, to the point where literally we have complicated so much when it could have been so simple, you know? And I love that he kind of reiterated that, because that's what we've been talking about, is how much our minds can run and take something to a place that's not happening, you know? And so what we need to do is really, really take that simple approach. Remind ourselves, stop running with this idea of negativity. Stop running with this pessimist mindset, because it's not doing us any good. And so I love that, just like simple approach. Simplify it. Make it simple, you know? You could sit there and say, well, if we get paid here and we get paid here, then we can pay this and pay this, and then all of our bills will line up, and I think if it works out, but what if this happens, and da-da-da. Whew, that could be exhausting, right? Or we could say, hey, when the money comes, we'll pay the bills that are due. Simple as that. When the money's in our bank account, we'll pay the bills that are due. And we'll handle it one day at a time. We'll handle it one paycheck at a time. You know? And I know that it's hard, but I think when we're putting the work in here, it's going to become easier and easier. Okay? So in the beginning, it's going to feel really hard to like stop your brain from wondering, you know, or from doing that what if spiral. But the more work we do here, the more you constantly stop yourself and say simple approach, simple approach, simple approach, it's going to get easier. And that's going to be your new habit, rather than spiraling into this what if. You have to think, you guys, I mean, I'm 31 years old, so I've got about 30 years under my belt of creating these terrible what if habits. So how long and how much effort is it going to take for me to actually switch my brain to these positive thoughts, to actually switch my brain? It's going to take a lot of freaking work, because I've got years and years of habit over here. Okay, so don't think you're going to be able to just switch it. It's just going to like flip a switch, and you're just going to like, oh my God, now that I know, and I'm just so simple. It's probably not going to work out that way. It's going to be hard work. It's going to be hard work to make and keep ourselves in that simple approach. But the more work we do here, the more work you do on the inside, the easier it becomes. And then when you also see results, like, hey, now my husband and I aren't arguing over bills, we're just paying bills as they come. You know, and you're going to see those little results of like, oh my God, Mike and I haven't argued about bills in over a week, because we just decided to take the simple approach, and when the money was there, we just pay the bills that we have instead of festering it. And that right there can be like, oh, it's working, you know, makes you want to do it again and again and again and again. So it can feed that positivity, but it takes time, you guys. So be patient with the simple approach, be patient with your minds, be patient with yourself as you're going through development. because there's nothing more frustrating than self-developing and getting frustrated with yourself, okay? Because it will happen in the beginning, because you start recognizing all of these things about yourself or about society or about, you know, whatever, the world or whatever's going on, and you start to get like frustrated because you know you should be handling it this way, and you see yourself handling it this way, or you see somebody else handling it this way, and you just want to be like, shake them and be like, stop that, but you can't, right? So there's going to be some frustration as you learn personal growth, okay? Because this is a whole new way of thinking possibly for you. This is a whole new way of habits or lifestyle. So give yourself grace as well when you're learning here. Apply them, but don't beat yourself up because maybe you didn't do it totally correct, okay? I love that he said it's all risky. It's risky. It's risky. It's all freaking risky. Or if you don't want to be risky, we can put you in a corner with a blanket over your head and feed you 3 times a day, and you can live to 100. Congratulations, you made it. You know, but you did nothing in life. So it's all risky. Okay. Take a simple approach and find what's worth risking. You know, like, is marriage, like, you love somebody so much, you're worth risking jumping into a marriage with because I love you that much and I'm willing to work with you that much. Yeah, it's risky, but calculated risk, you know? That's kind of how I look at it. It's like, it's all risky, but choose your risks wisely. What is worth getting risky for you, you know? Give it a go. I wrote that down. Like, give it a freaking go. Why not just try it? And it may not work the first time. You're going to try it again and again and again and again until you either decide that you need a different approach or you're going to continue at this approach until it works. Okay? So give it a go. Give it a try. You know? That's what I think. I love that. Ask for adventure. I wrote that down as well, you guys. Even in a time that we are locked in our houses, how can we ask for adventure? How can we ask for things to come into our lives even though we're inside? How can we create adventure for our kids? How can we create adventure for our families in this time of, you know, where adventure is kind of hard, you know? How can we still get creative and find adventure? Because that's how you find that like kid-like voice in your head. That's where joy comes from, okay? And if we're not finding adventure, then we're probably not experiencing joy. And if you're not experiencing joy, you're missing out on life, you know? I know it's hard. I know it's stressful sometimes and we have all of these things going on, but we still have to find time or spots in our lives to find joy. Okay? Because that's where the adventure comes. And that's what brings us wholeheartedly happy. And I feel like that's how it makes you sleep good at night, you know? Like, I talk about sleeping good at night in a way of like, when you lay your head on the pillow, you say, wow, I did everything today that I felt I could do today to put my own stamp of approval. You know, how did you put your stamp of approval on today? Did I experience joy? Did I get a workout in? You know, did I, like, these little things, like, you may have like a little list, like maybe a list of 5 things. Hey, did I experience all 5 of these things today? And if I did, cool, I'm gonna sleep really good tonight. You know? I really like it's not about how long, it's just about how. Like, how are you going to do it regardless of the time frame? You know, I think of that with like weight loss, you guys, just like simply as like some people will be like, oh, I have 6 weeks to lose 20 pounds. And I'm like, okay, so what happens if you don't lose 20 pounds in that 6 weeks? Do you just give up? Do you just stop? Because that's definitely not going to get you to lose that 20 pounds. You know, it's not about the time frame. It's not about setting yourself up for a date, like I have to be doing this by this date. It's just about how you're going to get there in the first place. Like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to lose this 20 pounds. If that happens in 6 weeks, awesome. If it takes longer, I'm going to keep putting in the work. I'm going to keep doing what I got to do to lose it. You know, and so it's not about the time frame. So sometimes we always want to put time frames on things. And then when we don't hit it in that time frame, we get very discouraged. And then we stop, right? Because we didn't hit it in our time frame, but then yet that still doesn't get you to your goal. So why place a time frame on something when I want you to do it regardless? If you need to lose 20 pounds, I want you to take as long as it takes. You know, and that's on you to put the work in too. You know, so I really like that. I just like the fact that like sometimes we place time frames on ourselves for no reason, like literally no reason. You know, I want you to say I'm going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to do it however long I need to get to the goal that I want, regardless of how much work it takes, regardless of how much time it takes. I'm getting to that freaking goal. Okay. So I love that. I love the quote that he gave, or the verse that was, as you think, so you become. I just look at that as like my own life, you guys, is like, I had to envision myself being a coach, leading a team of girls ever before there was a team of girls. So I believed that I was a coach that could lead people. So as I thought that I could lead people, people began to join me. People began to follow me. But I had to believe I could lead people way before they actually ever came. Okay? You have to believe you're capable of something before it's just going to be handed to you. And you might still be scared. Guys, I was so scared when I started signing up people. I was so scared when I started signing up coaches because I was so scared to fail them. I was so scared that they weren't going to get the results that I knew that they were possibly capable of. And so I held myself so accountable to them. But then look where we're at. You know, look what we've created. And I think that's just because I just thought to myself that I was capable of it. And so as you think, you become. So whatever you think you're capable of, you're absolutely right. You know, you're absolutely right. Are you thinking big enough though? Are you giving yourself enough credit? You know, are you dreaming big enough? Are you saying, you know, I really think I'm capable of doing this, but if I was really pushing myself out of the comfort zone, I'm actually probably more capable of this way up here. If I really applied myself, if I really put myself to the test, I'm probably actually capable of so much more than I even think I am, or that I even give myself credit for. So why not go big? Why not believe in myself? Okay, so I love that. I love that quote. I thought that was like a really good one. Stand guard at your mind. I love that, you guys. Not everything needs to be ingested in your head. Okay? Not every post needs to be read on your newsfeed. Not every article on your notifications from your news break. Because I get news break notifications all the time. I don't read every article. Not every article deserves my attention. Just for them to remember it. So people, oh, I love that, Carrie. That's exciting. And so you guys just be guarded of your mind. Like, I feel like that is extra, extra, extra. Please be guarded of your mind right now. Like, there's so much information out there. There's so, like, consistent live videos, live feeds, live news, live coverage. Whew. Be guarded of your mind, okay? Like he was saying, he woke up every morning and read the freaking newspaper. But how did that start out his day? And he's looking for like robberies and burglars and people dying. Like that's what he was looking for throughout the day because that's what he was reading in the beginning, you know? But you do something like this, you hit a workout and then you come here and get positive motivation. And then how does the rest of your day feel? You know, you kind of come off of here like a little lighter, a little positive, or maybe smiling, or a little flighty. Like I don't know about you guys, but every time I leave like these meetings, I'm always kind of like, yay, I'm in like frolicking meadows or something. Like I always just feel good. I come off with a smile. I kind of come off with a little pep in my step. And I just feel really good after hearing whatever we listen to or talking to you guys or seeing you guys or talking myself. I just feel good after this. Now, could you imagine if we came on here and just bitched about news all day? And we're like, I know, look what happened to me. No, look what happened to me. Well, this happened to me. Like, could you imagine if this is what we used this whole hour for? To just gripe and moan? How would you feel getting off of here? I probably would get off here and be like, oh, you know what happened to so-and-so? And this happened to my other girl. And this happened to my other girl. Oh, we're so terrible. Life is falling apart. Like, what? You know what I mean? Like, that's not going to do any good. And I think sometimes when we like realize how opposite we're being right now, you know, like when you put it into perspective, because I've been on other calls, I've gotten together with like other people and like all they did was gripe and moan. And I'm like, I gotta get off this call. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta get out of here because I just can't sit here and fester with this crap. Like, I just can't, you know? And I think it's also like very apparent that I can't because we come here and don't do that at all, you know? So like when I was on another call with somebody else, just like some friends, nothing like with coaching or Beachbody, you know, and they're all just like, this got canceled and this got canceled. And I was like, okay, yeah. I was like, I know, I got some stuff too, but I like didn't even share mine because I was just like, I don't know, I just don't want to feed that, you know? Like, of course you guys have things that have happened that are suck, you know, right now. But griping about them, I just don't think that really does anything for anybody. It doesn't really do anything for me. It doesn't make me feel better, you know? And I don't think it would make you guys feel better either, you know? So I love that. So stand guard of your mind from everybody, people, you know, the news, friends, family, you know, be very careful. And it's going to be hard sometimes stopping people, but you guys don't be afraid to stop people from talking about it. Like if somebody's talking to you on the phone and you just feel like they're just griping and griping and griping, try to like switch the conversation or try to like bring them up a little bit or try to say, hey, you know, I know this sucks, but can we just talk about something else? Like, I know that this is all I feel like we have to talk about, but can we just talk about something else? I just want to get my mind off it because you guys need to stand guard of your mind. But I know like we also don't want to be rude, right? So how can we find a way to, I've unfollowed people. I've snoozed people for 30 days right now because there's some people I just cannot take their posts right now. And it's nothing against them. I get it. They're hurting. And so are all of us. But I just can't watch you hurt because it's festering my mind, you know, and I want to stay in a positive mindset. And so I have to protect my mind. It's nothing against them. It's about me. Okay. That's what it's about. Sorry about you. This is about me. And I can't see your negativity because it's hurting my heart. You know, it's hurting my heart. You guys, these are people like I've like unfollowed a cousin, I've unfollowed an aunt, I've unfollowed plenty of friends, plenty of people I don't know that are on my friends list because my friends list is like filled with all types of people. But I'm like, I'm sorry about you. But like the people I want to see are the people that are staying positive. And I don't have to feel guilty about that. It's my freaking newsfeed. I will choose who I want to see. And same thing goes for you. Who cares if they're your aunt? If she's putting negativity out there over and over again, unfollow her. She'll never know, okay? She doesn't know. You know? Like, that's how I look at it, is like, they don't know. This is about me, you know? Be a little selfish when it comes to your mind and only allow the things that you deem important through your gates, okay? And I think that just kind of leads into the last thing I wrote, but like griping gets us nowhere, you guys. We may feel better for like a hot second, and then what? You know, it's never long lasting. It's never something that I'm just like, oh, thank God I just bitched about all that for 15 minutes because I just feel amazing now. I mean, I might feel like, oh, I got that off my chest, but I still feel heavy. You know, I still feel heavy and unmotivated when I gripe about something. you know? But when I sit and look at something and say, you know what, this sucks, but regardless, we're in it, right? Regardless, I'm in it. So how can I make the best of it? What else can I do to keep myself busy? What else can I do to stay positive? What else can I do? Maybe I need a nap. Maybe I need to like just to shut my brain off for an hour. And like then I'll wake up and I'll try and refresh, you know? There's gonna be times, you guys, that it's gonna feel overwhelming. There's gonna be times that you feel like you're pretty on point. You know, there's gonna be those times. Who knows what's good or bad? Remind yourself of that. Who knows what's good or bad? As much as this is terrible, and I know a lot of people are being affected, we're getting very sick, think of also our world is healing itself. And I know that you guys have all heard that, you know, but our world is getting a break. Do you guys know, like, okay, so where I live especially, so we have Sombrero Reef, which is one of like the most well-known reefs in like all of America. We live literally 5 miles from it out in the water. I mean, it's beautiful, but they take these huge ass boats of 40 to 80 people at a time out to these reefs, and these people snorkel every day, all day. And it actually kind of destroys the reefs because people don't know. Don't stand up. Don't put your feet down. Don't touch anything. You're not allowed to fish. You're not allowed to take anything. And people don't know these things, and they take stuff or they touch stuff or they mess with stuff or they're messing with the animals. Don't touch a turtle. If you touch a turtle, you literally could go to jail. But people do this kind of stuff because, oh, they're on vacation and they want to do this kind of stuff. And our whole reefs are getting this huge break. I just imagine all the fish out there going like, woo, like this is our space. Look at it, there's nobody. Like I just picture them like swimming around like in just like this blissful water where nobody's hovering over them. Nobody's trying to put a GoPro in their face. Nobody's trying to like touch them. I'm just like, wow, imagine all these fish out there just getting this like their water back, you know? Like I just look at it like that, or just little things like that. That I'm just like, you know what? Like this island needed that break. As much as money as people are losing, I get it. Like as much as like our economy is hurting, our like wildlife is flourishing, and it's beautiful right now down here. It really is. Like even just like the water is crystal clear. Like just the fact that there's no boats, you know? Yeah, like Earth needed a freaking break, you know? And maybe this was its way of saying like, leave me alone for a few months. You know, who knows? But I just look at it as like, you guys, as much negative as we could always all, you know, focus on. There's so much positive happening here too. Or there could be, you know? Yes, I agree. I actually hope that maybe when people, so one thing that I really did think too is like, so once everything's out, so we've kind of like ridded all of this stuff from our lives, right? And then once like all this ban lifts, we're gonna have a moment where we decide what's actually allowed back in our lives, you know? And I think that's actually kind of empowering. I know I felt that when so after like everything happened with the hurricane and we got a new house and stuff, I was like I just looked at it as like, wow, I get to choose, handpick everything that comes back into my life. Rather than just taking hand-me-downs and all of this stuff, you know, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna actually choose and be very picky about what comes back into our lives. Yeah.
Why are you not eating the chocolate?
Why am I not eating my chocolate? Well, because I'm talking. It's kind of hard to eat chocolate. You're not gonna take it. No. You
You're
can't
not eating it.
I know I'm gonna eat it. Go. Hey,
You're not going to eat
here,
it.
Michael. You're gonna get in trouble. All right. What time is it? Is it 9? He must know. 9:04. Yep. I usually like a solid hour, and then he's like, "You're dead. Hey, go. Couple more minutes, and then I'll come out. Okay. So yeah, did anybody else pick up anything that I maybe didn't discuss? Did anybody else like pick up any quotes or anything that maybe I didn't kind of touch base on that they wanted to still talk about? I thought that was a pretty good one though. Awesome. I'm gonna pop in. I think the only thing I saw in the chat was that we were very excited. Our environment is getting, yes, all over the world pollution levels. I just want to pop in here real quick. Help anybody? Yes. Make sure you guys pop over to the chat every once in a while and kind of see what people are writing, because I know that's kind of a nice little way for like us to not be able to like talk over each other, but still kind of like be able to like comment at the same time. So awesome. I kind of feel good. I feel good about this. I'm going to just keep it simple today. And I am just going to take a simple approach. Keep it very light today. We're going to stay positive. We're not going to be griping and complaining. We're just going to take the day as it is. And I want you to think about how you're going to get out of this. Not about how long it's going to take, but you're going to be in it until it's over. Okay? Don't put a little deadline on it of like, okay, well, if in 30 days we're not out of here, I'm just going to freak out, you know? Because then what happens at 30 days and it gets extended? Are you going to freak out? You know? Don't allow that. Don't give yourself a deadline like that. Just say, you know what? We're in this until it's over. We're just in it until it's over. End of discussion. Now what are you going to do? Now that you figured that part out, what are you going to do with your time? You know, move on. That's kind of how I look at it. It's like, yeah, I could sit here and be like, well, if it's 30 days, we could do this, or if it's 60 days, we could do this, or if it's 45 days, I could fit this. You know what I mean? Like, you could sit and fester all this time, but really all you're doing is wasting time festering about something that you have no idea or no control over. So why? Why fester on the time that it's going to take for it to be gone? Why not just use every single day to the best ability that you can and focus on the day in front of you? That's kind of what we've been talking about a lot, you know? Knowing there's a future, having faith that there's a future, focusing on today and whatever I can do today to continue having a future. That's it. Okay? All right. We're going to end there today. And tomorrow is Monday, so we'll be back in action. Let me know if you guys have anything specific you want to focus on next week. Also, don't forget, yesterday we talked about reaching out to somebody, helping somebody. So I reached out and helped somebody yesterday. Felt pretty good about it. So, you know, see what you can do, okay? See who you can help, see who you can maybe infect positively. And let's just keep this train going. And I will see you guys tomorrow at 8, okay? All right, have a good Sunday. Bye, ladies. Bye.